Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the future of Arc Raiders. So one of the Arc Raiders' design directors, Virgil Watkins, has given an interview to PC Games N, and it's about the future of Arc, what they were planning to do, what they're planning to do now, and this is mainly spawned from basically the unexpected success of Arc Raiders. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I'd heard of Arc Raiders. I'd sort of heard about it through the grapevine, and also from someone I play the finals with. So if you haven't played the finals, by the way, it's Embark's other game, and it's an amazing FPS. I'd actually say it's one of the best FPSs of the last 5-10 years. It may end up being one of the greatest of all time, in my opinion, just because of how consistently fun it is, and the destruction is amazing. If you're into like destructible environments, if you're like a Battlefield fan, well, the destructible environments are like way better than Battlefield. So if you haven't checked it out, definitely check it out. But anyway, Embark made that. That's how they made their reputation. And now obviously they've created Arc Raiders, which came out a few months ago. Arc Raiders is pretty much taken the gaming industry by storm. It's massively upset, I think, the Call of Duty and Battlefield fan bases as well, the player bases even, because though the Battlefield's done very well, Call of Duty not so much, but Arc has definitely stolen a lot of those players away from it, and also other mainstream games like like FIFA as well, or SC26, sorry, I should say. But yeah, basically they weren't expecting this level of success, and because of that they've got a lot more money, and then naturally their plans change. So in this article, if we look through it, so 12.4 million sales of Arc Raiders has shifted so far, which is pretty amazing, really. So if you look here, Watkins says the game's success has given Embark resources that we might not have had otherwise, which should help in keeping players happy. And yeah, I mean, I think the future of Arc Raiders is super exciting because, again, if you look at the finals, the way they've supported that game, there's constant updates, there's constantly new things to do, new live events, they've added new maps, they've added new modes. So if they support Arc Raiders in this way, it could be, I mean, it's an amazing game anyway, but I think it's here to stay. I don't think it's something that's going to die off anytime soon, just based on Embark's track record with the finals, and also just like, I suppose, the format of the game and what they could do with it. Like, there's so many different directions they can take it. Adding new maps is an obvious one, but I just think like because of the type of game it is, there's so many possibilities and ways they can take it. Not only with like new content, but like like different types of events, different ways of playing, which is what they're alluding to in this article. It doesn't seem like they're just thinking about how can we just add new maps or add new weapons or add new enemies. It's more about how players interact with the enemies, how players interact with each other, and the beauty of Arc is how you never could, because you're playing with, obviously it's PvP VE, so you're obviously looking out for the Arc, but you're also looking out for Raiders, because you never know who to trust, and then some people say they're going to be friendly and they're not, and it adds this whole really interesting dynamic. And I personally, as someone who's like never played these types of games really, I find it like really interesting, and it very rarely gets boring because of like the different types of interactions. And I do think that the just the fact that you never really know someone's intentions, and the social element of the game makes it so interesting. I don't think it would have been as interesting if it was just PvE. If it was just you're up against the Arc and that's all you do. I think it probably would die off a lot quicker, in my opinion. So he says here that Embark's in the process of re-evaluating, reprioritising its future plans now that it has the opportunity to do bigger things. It's looking at areas where it could expand and being more ambitious with its roadmap, something players should be able to see soon, which obviously means that they might have expected it to be a success, but they obviously didn't expect it to be as much of a success, just because they're looking at more ambitious things to do than they were originally planning to do. Given that his plan for Arc Raiders' future is being reshaped right now, I struggle to get much in the way of cold hard information from Watkins about what's in store, but he does drop some hints and teasers about what the next few months could look like. So we've got some direct quotes here. So the ambition is that we're going to have several map updates throughout the year, and that's on a couple of different scales. Some of it might be a revamp or a refresh of an area in an existing map. It could be a new map at a smaller scale, then a new map at a larger scale, let's say, and now we're trying to figure out how they drop across the year. While Watkins says there's absolutely merit in just giving players new maps to explore, he feels it's also important to offer more than just a fresh location. There has to be a thematically cohesive gameplay content that comes alongside them. I don't know what that means, because obviously they've already done stuff like, some maps have electromagnetic storms, some maps are at night, some maps are, they were doing the cold snap event during winter, which is pretty interesting as well. And I think that kind of stuff is super important to keep people interested. And I imagine it doesn't take that much resources as well to do that kind of stuff, because you're just changing the weather or the lighting or whatever. But thematically cohesive gameplay content that comes alongside them. Curious to see what that is going to be, because it sounds like they're going to get a lot more creative with what they're actually going to release. They also talked about the trading component of Arc and how you sort of buy and sell items. So they've said it's a very tricky aspect. You can see it in other games that have like a more traditional auction house, especially when currency games become involved. I think we would diminish one of the central aspects of our game, which is caring about the items you find and what their use cases are, rather than it being, I'm going to go into the world to maximize profit, take all the money out, and then just buy things I need. I think any revenue we go down in terms of player trading has to keep that in mind. It can't undercut what one of the primary loops of the game is, which is caring about exploring the world, finding the things you need, and then caring about getting those things out, rather than hoarding 3000s mixtapes to sell them so you can buy your guns on the trading market. Yeah, I think he's right. I think it would massively devalue. It would just make the game boring, really, to put it simple, because you would just go out and just get money, and then you can just go and buy what you need. And I think they've got a good balance where you can craft certain things, but then there's also certain things you actually have to go out into the world to get. So you can't just sit in menus all day and just trade or like you said, just go after money. You actually have to go kill Arc to get certain Arc stuff, which is integral to then build stuff like shields. I think it's Arc alloy that you need for light shields. There's a couple of things that I'm always looking for, and sometimes I just do runs where I just go out and kill Arc. So there's the good thing about Arc is that there's always things to do, and there's always something you're striving for, or something you're trying to get. It could be obviously something way more complicated, like killing a big enemy to get a component from them, or it could literally just be going out and just killing the easy enemies just to grind out and mine these simple components. But they're very important. They're common, but they're very important. But it does look like they're going to be improving the NPC trading system. So if you see here, yes, when he asked about the expansion to the current NPC trading system, yes, absolutely. That one's far easier for us to work with, because then that gives us progression vectors and other things for the player to engage with. And obviously, since we control that aspect, we can make sure it's done with guardrails on the game's economy and things like that. So 100% that avenue is more appealing. So it definitely looks like we're going to get a new we're going to get an improvement and an evolution with how the NPCs trade. So this is an interesting one. So the journalist asked him about Speranza. So for those who don't play the game, Speranza's basically the sort of main menu hub where you do your trading, you sort your loadouts, that kind of thing. And at the moment it's just it's just sort of like cutscenes and where you do it's just got background animation loops, but it's not an explorable world. So he's asked if we're ever going to get that, because I think a lot of people would like that. They've said we've 100% discussed it. I think it was the first question asked when we started building the front end of the game. What would that experience be like? It came down to scope for us. We can build a menu, and then the menu would do its job. And all the extra time involved making a hub wasn't worth it. For me personally, I love the vibe and aesthetic of a walkable hub, but I would want to preserve the menuing so that you can do it quickly and efficiently. And I think that's an important thing. I think with an explorable hub, I think that's definitely something that they should do, and they probably will do. It's probably just not been a priority, and I don't think it should be. I really like the idea of having, you know, a simplified version where you can basically do what you're doing now, but there's certainly some quality of life improvements that they can do to speed that up. But then also, if you want to do like if they had like a social world, I think it'd be really cool to have a way to, you know, be put into a group of, you know, 30, 40, whatever people, and then you can go around, you can meet people, maybe there's some like mini games or something, and you can like team up with people in that and then go into the game. I think that would be a really good way for people, especially like solo players who are looking to team up with people, be a really good way to meet other players. And I definitely see that happening in well, maybe sort of like later this year. He says it's something we have discussed and will continue to discuss, and I think there's definitely a good appetite on the team for it as well. It's more about when the right moment to open that door is. So yeah, it definitely seems like that is something they're going to do. So talking about what the actual plans are for 2026, especially with these, you know, more ambitious ideas that they're going to be working with, because they've got more budget because of the crazy revenue that they've generated. He said, we want to start seeing how we can escalate the experience players are having with their situation with Ark. Where that starts, we're laying the groundwork for it, and where that culminates in it. That means giving players new circumstances to be in, and potentially new threats that they're going to have to deal with. We want them to start even questioning a little more whether or not they need to make a tenuous alliance in that moment, or create a nobody gets out alive type situation, leaning into a bit more of where that is where I think we start heading. So that's going to be interesting. I mean, what I would love to see them do is sort of play around with that psychology side of things, like put us in situations where we have to, like, you know, choose to save other people, or you know, do we have to be selfish in our you know, do we have to like look after ourselves, but maybe there's a consequence to that. I think that's where Ark Raiders is really has its strengths. And I also think the community as well, like the people who play Ark Raiders, would make it very, very interesting, especially with the aggression-based matchmaking they've got as well, where, you know, the more aggressive players are matched up with the aggressive players, and, you know, the friendlier players are matched with the friendlier players. So I do love the idea of them, you know. I think there's loads of different directions they can take Ark. In terms of, like, not in terms of just maps and stuff, but in terms of modes. Like, I've seen a lot of people talk about, if you look at the Emperor, which the Emperor is the massive Ark. We've never actually been able to fight it yet, but a lot of people, and I believe this was like the original idea of the game. A lot of people want to be able to like do a massive, like, you know, 20-30 man map where you all fight the Emperor. And it's like that the Emperor is the map sort of thing. So maybe you start on the ground, the Emperor's above you because it is absolutely enormous. And, you know, I don't know, maybe you like have to climb up, and maybe you have to like beat Leapers and a smaller Ark first, and then you sort of make your way up into the Emperor, and then you have to sort of, you maybe destroy the Emperor from within or something like that. I think that would be really cool, and that's certainly a direction they can take. I'd also be interesting as well, like, I suppose sort of the current world aside, I think there's like little spin-offs they can do as well. Like, I'd love to see maybe like an alien invasion type thing where it's not necessarily Ark, but maybe like, you know, like aliens come and there's like biological enemies, or, you know, maybe that could be like an extension of the story, or maybe it's just like a spin-off mode or something like that. But with I think just with the core gameplay loop, the way the game plays, the way the game looks, there's so many possibilities to Ark, and I'm so excited for the future of this game, because, like I said at the start of the video, the way they supported the finals was really impressive, and like if they do that with this game, if you think it's good now, like, just wait to see where it's at in like a year, 18 months time. And I'd love to get your thoughts on like what you want to see from Ark, what improvements you think they need to make, or what direction you think the game should be taken in the future. Here's a few thoughts from Reddit, which I thought were quite interesting. So the option to play these are like quality of life improvements, but also you know, other more like content-based improvements. But the option to only play games from the start, that is definitely an issue we've certainly had. Like, it's very frustrating to like go into a game and you're already like 14 minutes into the game, all the loot around you is gone, so you just have to, a lot of people just extract. I know I certainly do, just to go out to reset and start a game. There's more than enough players on the game. Like, there's hundreds of thousands of players on Ark. I don't really see it affecting the game too much, in terms of like, you know, the waiting times. I might be wrong, but I don't see why I think you should be able to choose whether or not you start from scratch and, you know, are happy to wait a couple of minutes for that, or if you're happy to go into a game that's already going on. The ability to have preset loadouts that come from your stash, that is absolutely something I think they should bring in. And I'm not talking about, you know, preset loadouts where you can just buy them and you don't have to go out and get them. It will come from your stash. So like, if you haven't already got the stuff, you can't actually access that preset loadout, that template. That's probably my main issue with Arc Raiders, is I just want to do a run, and sometimes I just go into a free loadout just because of time. But there's obviously, you know, drawbacks to that. You don't get a safe pocket, you have shitter guns, etc. Just being able to click a button and it just, you know, I can create like a couple of templates and it just automatically puts it in. Yeah, that would just make things so much easier, because then you could like batch make stuff as well. You could batch make shields, you could batch make augments, have it all ready, and you just click, go back in. I don't know why they haven't put that in the game, to be honest with you. It seems to be something that a lot of people have requested, and it'll be a massive quality of life improvement for Arc Raiders. You just want to play the game more, right? Presets loadouts is such a high quality of life addition that I'm almost certain they will add it eventually. Yeah, I agree. Giving XP bonuses for being a friendly raider would be very, very nice. Bonus for extracting together, bonus for defibbing downed raiders, bonus for healing strangers. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. The matchmaking starting people in late lobbies is a real big issue for me. To get into a fresh lobby is almost as rare as finding a Bobcat blueprint for me. This has got quite a few downvotes. Loot should be generated based on player instead of map. Let's say I'm looting an already looted container. Loot should regenerate for me, which only I can see. This would be really great when this game spawns us late, as in game when the time left is less than 20 minutes. That would ruin the game. You late spawn babies clearly don't know how to loot good. I found so many good items in late spawns. Yeah, I think that would be a good idea, because even though it would solve the whole problem of, you know, going into a thingy late, I think again, it all sort of folds into the experience of Arc Raiders, and you're sort of watering down, you know, finding good loot, but finding loot in general, because, you know, the scarcity is what makes things exciting. Quality of life improvements in workshop and stash. Favorites or recents in the workshop. Show stash quantity in the crafting menu. They actually already have that, if you didn't know that. Tag stash items. A massive arc battle event with limited revives that are extremely difficult with the PvP aspect removed. I would absolutely love something like that. I think that's definitely something they should do. It doesn't have to be on the scale of the Emperor, but like a mode where you sort of spawn in with a group of people. You can't kill other raiders, and yeah, you just take out you know, like a big boss, or maybe like a you know, like you can maybe even that you could have like a private server where you just play with friends, but you could choose like which arc spawn and that kind of stuff. I think that would be really cool. You realise that the servers would be empty after the first 2 minutes if no one spawned in mid-game, right? I'm not a game designer. I find that hard to believe, because of the sheer amount of players that are on Arc, and I imagine they had this feature in the fact that you join games mid-game just because they didn't expect people to have... Well, they didn't expect so many players to play the game, right? So yeah, surely with the current player count, it's not a problem. A better tracking system would be nice. Refine the tracking system to allow me to add basic components not based on a recipe. Improve the eye icon on tracked items to also include a description line with the name of the item being tracked, so I can easily decide if I needed to grab it. Maybe even add a stash tool also. I'll track items I'll like to use, but then it gets hard mid-raid to keep track of which item I needed to prioritize, and will end up with way more of a particular item than another. That's a really good one, actually. This is a really good one, because I'm always looking for lots of different things, and to be able to, you know, prioritize them, or have some sort of system that lets me know, like a grading, like what's more important when I've got, you know, especially when I've got a full backpack, that'd be great. And maybe even allow players to make their own list and how much of each item they wanted, and as they collected those items, it would count the amount down. Maybe even allow players to make their own list and how much of each item they want. Oh, I see. Okay, cool. Don't know how to read that twice. But yeah, I think there's loads of little things like that, loads of little quality of life improvements with Arc, which we'll definitely get over time. and it will just make the experience, an already very good experience, you know, a lot more streamlined and a lot more easy to navigate. So yeah, that's pretty much. I think the future of Arc Raiders looks really good. I really like what they're talking about as well, even though if it's a little vague. I think they're trying to do things on a bigger scale than they expected. I think they're trying to be creative as well. And they're sort of thinking outside the box a little bit. They're not just thinking about, you know, the linear progression of most games, which is, you know, more maps, more weapons, more. It's like, how can we do more, but how can we also do, you know, different? How can we surprise our players? How can we improve the experience or make the experience unique as well? So yeah, let me know in the comments what you think about the future of Ark. What improvements would you like to see in the game? And if you've watched this video to the end, really appreciate a like, really appreciate a subscribe as well, because I am a small channel. So yeah, I will see you in the next video.